Good morning, YouTube. It's Carrie from Foster's Fields, cold processed soap and soy candles. Today I'm going to be making some lavender soap with coconut milk, and I thought I would show you how I do it. For starters, I'm just going to show you what I've got going on here. I've got everything ready. When I do this batch of soap, I do it room temperature, or almost. Today I warmed it up because I don't want it to overheat when it gets into the mold. So normally for that, I put everything in my pot and I use the hot lye water and I melt everything. But it takes a long time to melt those oils. So today I kind of sped it up. I've got my oils here ready to go. In here I have avocado oil, almond oil, coconut, palm, cocoa butter, castor oil. And I warmed up the hard oils, the cocoa butter and the coconut oil first, and then I just put everything else in and they kind of melted. So my pot is cool. It's like almost at room temperature right now. So I've got that ready to go. My lye I just made is upstairs, so it's going to be coming down in a minute. I've got everything I need. So I've got my buckets for mixing my colors, and I've got my stick blender, and over here on my trusty scale I have my lavender essential oil that I've measured out, my two colorants, titanium dioxide, water soluble, and violet ultramarine that I've mixed with a little bit of water. I find this does not mix very well with my oils, so that was a trial and error, so I figured that out. In this little container I have coconut milk powder. I prefer to use the powder instead of the milk, just a personal preference. And I also have kaolin in here. So I've reconstituted it with some water. It's just sitting here. This is water that was in my lye water, but it'll all eventually get back into the pot. So now I've got everything ready. I'm going to wander upstairs and get my lye water, and then I will be back. So, sorry, it's going to get loud. Actually, I'm just going to take that off the wood bit I have it on. Slide that out of the way and put you back here where you can see. So I'm just going to give that going. Now I'm going to add in my prepared lye water. Lye water is still quite warm, but that's okay. I pour the lye water over my spatula just to stop some of the bubbles. I don't really suppose it makes a huge difference to some soapers, but that's the way I do it. So just pour that all in there like that. Da, 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 da. In goes the lye water. All right, there it goes. Okay, so it's going to get loud again, so I'm going to blend this till I get to a light trace. I have this at a light trace right now, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my lavender essential oil. In goes the lavender. Okay, so now is the time that I'm going to ditch my blender here because I'm not going to need it. Get this all scraped off here. Get all the bits of soap in there that we can. All right, I'll just pop that right in there. Get that out of the way. Okay, so I just make sure that your essential oil or your fragrance oil is really well blended into your soap batter. Usually I'll get a whisk and do this, but yeah. Okay, so we're going to separate it into two. And put a few cups in each of these, just like so. And I am actually going to get my whisks out to do these colors. Okay, so I'll do the purple color first. And again, you want to make sure that colorant is really well mixed in. The last little bit of that out of the way. I didn't mention it before, I'll mention it again. I just do a drop swirl on this batch of soap. So I like the batter to be a light trace, and then sometimes it will speed up on me with the lavender. So sometimes I have to start working a bit quicker once I get going, but that's okay. A challenge never hurt anybody. A little bit more of my titanium dioxide, get that off the side, and I have to clean up my mess. Don't want to have titanium dioxide all over everything. And I just realized I'm shaking you guys all around. Hopefully I'm not making anybody dizzy. One of these days I'm going to get a proper tripod for my videos. Right now I'm attempting to do it all by myself with my iPad. But gotta start somewhere, right? Okay, so we've got our white and our purple. And I'm just going to grab my little mold here. Whoops. And that would be me popping the screw out of my mold. These molds hold about 4.5 to 5 pounds. My husband made these for me. And they're tall and skinny. I like my soaps tall and skinny. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour all of this into there. Just like that. And I never thought this through. I mean, you're going to have the back of the pot at you for a second. Sorry about that. I'm kind of working backwards here. I want to get all that soap batter out of my pot. And I'm also being a bad soap maker because I don't have my long sleeves on. But safety should come first. I did not think that through either. So let's just get every little bit of soap that we can. Okay, so set that aside. So for this drop, take your soap, hold it up fairly high, and I'm so high I'm off the camera, and you just drop it in there. I just kind of do a swooshy swoosh swirl, nothing fancy. And then I'll take the white, and I'll do the same thing with the white. If you've got your consistency okay, it should sink right down. So then I'm going to take my hanger tool, and I'm just going to make a couple of passes on this. I don't do too many. I usually just do a couple passes up through the middle. It just gives a bit of a swirl there. And I'll throw that in my sink. And then I just take the rest of the two colors and I put them on top of the soap. So I'll just usually take this. It kind of depends on my mood. Sometimes I put it on top. Sometimes it's not on top. It kind of depends how things go that day, how the soap is behaving, and different things. So I'll just put those on the top. And for video purposes, I did not blend that in as much as I should have. But it's not going to matter in this batch. You can see I've got a little bit that's not blended there. But usually I get right down into the nooks and crannies with my spatula when I'm mixing the colorants. But I kind of dodged that one today. Okay, so we're going to pour this on the top here. Kind of as best you can. Down it goes. And actually, just for the heck of it, I might just do a little bit on that top as well, actually. I was not as organized again as I thought I would be. I will get the hang of this. I have dowels in here. Okay, so I'm going to take a dowel and I am just going to just kind of loop-de-loop it. Loopy-loopy-loop. Just kind of so it blends. And then I like to go all the way around the edges just to neaten things up. And then I'm going to let this soap sit while I clean up here a little bit, because then I'm going to go back in and put the top on my soap. And I usually put a little bit of glitter on top of there as well. So I will be back shortly to show you what the top's like. Okay, and so I've let the soap sit for about 10 minutes just to start to solidify up here. And I'm just going to go across the top of this soap just to make the tops a little pretty. And just whoosh it into the middle a bit. Different soapers have their own techniques of what they like to do to the top of their soap. I just go like this, and just basically I just play with the top of it until it kind of looks the way I want it to. So sometimes I have to go back in and kind of pretty it up a little bit. Sometimes it does it just fine, and sometimes it's got a soapy little attitude. So sometimes I put sparkle on it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on the mood I'm in. Some of them I don't put sparkles on very often, because just who I'm aiming at selling it to. But for this one, I think I might put some sparkles on it. And I think I'm going to put this kind of sparkle on it. This is Silver Bio Glitter. So I have these nifty little containers that I found online. So I'm just going to go across the top and just add a little bit of pretty to the top. And that's it. That's my coconut lavender soap. I'm not going to insulate this soap because I'm hoping it won't get too warm. So I'm just going to leave it. It's kind of cool in my work area here. I'm just going to leave it, and then we will cut it tomorrow.